In a move no one saw coming, a group of U.S. senators from both political parties landed in Greenland. But this wasn't just another diplomatic visit. They weren't there for trade talks or resources. They were there with one clear message, and it wasn't what you'd expect. These senators, standing side by side with Greenlandic and Danish lawmakers, were saying, "We've got your back." And the person they were standing up against? Donald Trump. You heard that right. In an unexpected turn of events, Republican and Democratic senators united in a bold statement against the very man leading their own country. This wasn't just about politics. This was about NATO, global security, and a potential shift in the power dynamics that could affect us all. But here's the twist you didn't see coming. This isn't just about one leader or one country. It's about something much bigger. And what happens next could change the course of history. Stay tuned. What happens next will shock you. Next. The stakes are higher than they appear. The senators weren't just in Greenland for a casual visit. This was a calculated message to the entire world, especially to Trump. The U.S. Senate, both Republicans and Democrats, will not stand by as he threatens not just Greenland, but NATO, one of the world's most powerful alliances. But why did it go this far? Why Greenland? It's simple. Greenland, a small, icy landmass, has suddenly become a geopolitical chess piece. Trump's threats to take control of it, that's not just an international squabble. It's a direct challenge to the sovereignty of a nation and to the stability of NATO itself. And here's the big question. If these senators stand united against Trump on this, what else might they be willing to fight him on? This isn't just a dispute over land. It's a fight for the soul of global power. And it's not just about what Trump wants. It's about the cracks beginning to show in U.S. influence on the global stage. Stay with me. This story is just getting started. You might be thinking, but what does all of this actually mean? Here's the first hard truth. It's not just about a few senators making a statement. What they did, what they're still doing, has massive implications for the future of U.S. foreign policy. One senator, Lisa Murkowski, didn't hold back. She was clear. The message wasn't just for Trump. It was aimed at the world. The United States stands with Denmark and Greenland. But it's not just words. It's a threat. These senators are promising that if Trump escalates his rhetoric on Greenland, if he dares to challenge NATO or those allied with the U.S., there will be consequences. And it's not just political threats. They've said it outright. Impeachment, removal, and conviction are on the table if the president pushes too far. Now, here's what's missing. These senators weren't just responding to Trump's rhetoric. They were already making moves. They've already shown they will go to any lengths to protect Greenland. But why? What does Greenland actually represent to the U.S. and NATO in the first place? Stay tuned. This is only the tip of the iceberg. The situation isn't slowing down. In fact, it's escalating fast. This isn't just a one-off diplomatic spat. It's becoming a pattern, and one that mirrors past international crises. Think back to the Cold War. Tensions between superpowers didn't just stay within borders. They spilled over into other nations. Greenland, in this case, is the new flashpoint. And here's where it gets unsettling. What's happening now? This threat of U.S. military action against a NATO ally is something we shouldn't even be talking about in the 21st century. Yet here we are. In just a few short weeks, the rhetoric around Greenland has shifted from "it's a nice idea" to "we may have to take it by force." That normalization of aggressive behavior, that's what we should be paying attention to. It's not just Trump's words. It's the fact that his threats aren't being swiftly condemned or dismissed. There's a serious undercurrent here. And if this becomes the new normal, how much longer before it's not just Greenland? Everything is shifting fast. And what happens next? That's what should really worry you. Now, the plot thickens. The real kicker? It's not just about the threats anymore. It's the glaring contradictions in what's being said versus what's actually happening. Take Senator Shaheen, for example. She didn't just criticize the potential for a military takeover. She pointed out the real danger of even entertaining such a move. But what's worse than the threats themselves is the clear divide between words and actions. While Trump continues to stoke the flames, the Senate is already working behind the scenes to counteract his moves. They're not just talking, they're preparing. And that preparation, it involves everything from legal action to the very real possibility of a full-scale diplomatic and military showdown. And here's the moment that changes everything. While Trump is threatening Greenland, Denmark, and NATO, the global focus is slipping. The more time and energy spent on this conflict, the less the U.S. is focused on its core priorities: allies. NATO's unity is under direct threat, and that's not something the world can afford to ignore. This isn't just an isolated incident. It's a global power play. And Trump's actions, they're pushing the entire alliance to the brink. But here's where things really start to spiral. As if the stakes weren't high enough, we're now seeing a rapid-fire series of events that are pushing the situation beyond control. The U.S. military, NATO forces, and even the citizens of Greenland are all caught in the crossfire. First, there's the growing international pressure. You've got countries like Russia and China quietly watching this unravel, ready to exploit any fractures in NATO. And then you've got these surprising developments. European countries are sending special forces to Greenland, not to assist the U.S., but to protect it from the U.S. The message is clear. Greenland isn't just on the front lines of a geopolitical dispute. It's a battleground for global power. Now think about this. What happens if this continues? What happens if tensions keep escalating? The consequences won't just affect Greenland or Denmark. They'll shake the very foundation of NATO. And once that cracks, the entire balance of power could shift. There's no going back from here. The question is, who will blink first? Now let's zoom out for a moment and look at the real human toll. This isn't just a debate between politicians. It's about real people, their lives, and their security. For the people of Greenland, this situation is terrifying. They're not just worried about geopolitical posturing. They're fearing actual invasion. Imagine living in a place where the threat of foreign military action is no longer hypothetical. Imagine having to go to bed at night not knowing if your country will still be standing in the morning. And here's where it hits home. People are scared. The Greenlandic government is doing everything in its power to assure its citizens. But when you've got U.S. senators publicly threatening military force, it's hard not to wonder, will it actually happen? This is where you come in. If this resonates with you, if you feel the weight of these lives hanging in the balance, say something in the comments. What would it feel like knowing your homeland could be caught in the crossfire of a superpower conflict? The reality is, these decisions aren't made in boardrooms or by generals. They affect the lives of everyday people. And their fear? It's all too real. But let's move beyond the outrage for a moment and talk about the system that's allowing this to happen. You see, the real reason this is escalating isn't just about one man's ego or one country's ambitions. It's about the mechanics of global power, leverage, and influence. What's really happening here? The threat against Greenland isn't just an isolated incident. It's part of a much larger game of leverage. Think about it. NATO is under pressure from every angle. The U.S. has a vested interest in Greenland's strategic location, not just for military reasons, but for its vast natural resources. Greenland has critical minerals, including rare earth metals crucial for modern technology and defense. But here's the unsettling part. This isn't about the good of the people of Greenland or even NATO. It's about controlling resources and using military power to shape global markets. And when you add in the role of power brokers, whether they're in Washington or Moscow, the game becomes even more dangerous. Now, the insight. The global order is shifting, and it's shifting in ways that the average person doesn't even see coming. The tension isn't just about military action, it's about control of resources, influence over alliances, and the massive economic stakes involved. And if this continues, it will be the ordinary people who suffer the most. So what happens next? This situation is far from over, and we're looking at two possible futures, each with its own set of high stakes. On one hand, you've got the possibility of a diplomatic breakthrough. These senators could succeed in bringing Trump back from the brink, reestablishing U.S. unity within NATO, and cooling the tensions with Denmark and Greenland. If cooler heads prevail, it's a chance to reset and restore some level of international trust. But that's a fragile hope, and it hinges on political negotiations that could easily fall apart. But then there's the other possibility. The situation continues to escalate. As the pressure builds, the rhetoric could harden, leading to an even bigger fracture in NATO. Greenland could become the first casualty of this breakdown, leaving the U.S. isolated and vulnerable to adversaries who would be more than happy to exploit that weakness. And if NATO starts to crumble, we might be looking at a global realignment that changes everything. Here's the truth you need to face. No one knows how this will play out. The next move could come from anyone, from the senators, from Trump, from foreign powers. The momentum is building, and right now, the future is as uncertain as ever. And here's the real takeaway. The fate of Greenland isn't just about one country or one man. It's about what happens when global power dynamics start shifting, when the institutions meant to hold the world together begin to unravel. This story isn't just a geopolitical dispute, it's a snapshot of where we're heading, a world where resources, influence, and power are being fought over, not just on the battlefield, but at the highest levels of diplomacy. And the consequences? They'll affect all of us, one way or another. So what's next? Stay tuned, because this isn't just a chapter, it's a part of a much bigger story that's still unfolding. If you want to keep following these deep dives and stay ahead of the curve, hit that subscribe button. You won't want to miss what comes next.